Oops. That's not what I meant to do. Welcome back to Hannah's Harvest. Today we're working on a project that I'm really excited about. I just got back from going for a walk with a friend and it's a nice day outside. And exercise always gives me gumption to do projects, so I'm feeling motivated and excited to tackle this one. Today we're working on refinishing the top of my dining room table, and this is a table that we used when I was a little girl. My parents had it, and when we moved into our own house, they gave it to us, and I've thought through the years that I might paint it or change it or refinish the stain, but I've really struggled with decision fatigue and trying to decide what to do with it. So I know at the very least, the top needs a little bit of love. It has a lot of scratches. It has marks where you can see where people have written and pushed hard on their paper. And it even has a spot where I decided to heat press a t-shirt and I ruined the finish on the top. So before I decide to change anything, at the least, I really want to make sure that this table looks its best in the color and design that it is now. So I'm going to be using a sander and some polyurethane to try to fix the top. Now, I am by no means an expert at furniture DIYs, but I thought it was worth a try to make this table look its best. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm removing the washers that hold the tabletop onto the legs so that I can take it apart and get it outside. As I sand, I'm making sure not to put pressure on the sander and also to use long strokes in the direction of the wood grain. I don't want to remove any of the stain, I just want to gently remove that top layer of polyurethane. Okay, I have just finished sanding and wiping down our tabletop, and I should mention, my mom would say use a tack cloth after sanding before painting to remove any dust because you really don't want to introduce any moisture. I don't have a tack cloth and I'm just wanting to get this project done. I'm not going to let perfect stop me from trying, so if you were using this as a tutorial, I would say, first of all, I'm not an expert. I've done a lot of painting projects successfully, but I've also made a lot of mistakes. If you're wanting to do it the exact right way, after you sand, use a tack cloth before you paint. But so I've wiped down the tabletops. I'm waiting for them to dry, and I thought I'd talk about the varnish that I'm choosing to use. So normally I use a paint-on polyurethane, but today what I have is this spray painted lacquer, and there's a couple reasons I'm wanting to use this today. First of all, it takes 15 minutes to dry to the touch. Second of all, and the most important thing to me, is that I don't have to sand in between coats. So my goal is to do really thin layers to get a nice smooth finish, and I'm hoping that this project will be done before lunchtime. So I'm gonna start with one coat, evaluate how it goes, and then do my next couple coats until it gets to the shine that I want. The most important thing with this is I'm gonna make sure to do really thin layers so that it dries quickly and I have a smooth finish. You guessed it, that was indeed white paint and not a clear top coat. So here I am frantically trying to wipe it off, but of course it's permanent. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Apparently what I thought was polyurethane type spray was white lacquered paint. So I'm gonna run to the store and get what I'm actually trying to paint onto my table. Some polyurethane type spray, or maybe the paint on kind. We'll see what we get. I have just sanded off what I sprayed on. Thankfully I did a test spray kind of on the side and only got a tiny bit sprayed on the table, so we're gonna get the right materials and then try again. Okay, so we got what we needed at the store, but I just wanted to pause and film for a minute because I was laughing at myself the whole time I was walking through the store, thinking about the mistake that I made and how I almost accidentally painted my table white when all I was trying to do was put a new clear coat on the top. And as a recovering perfectionist, it's so funny to me to be able to laugh at my mistakes. And even a couple months ago, I would have been devastated to make a mistake like that. It would have made me really disappointed and just discouraged, and honestly, it probably could have been enough to make me stop the project. But I'm trying to help myself realize that I'm not a professional in these things. I'm not a professional furniture restorer, so it's okay if it doesn't turn out perfect. It's okay if I make mistakes. So I just wanted to give that word of encouragement for you. Don't let waiting for perfection prevent you from trying to do things like this. So we're gonna head home and I'll show you what we got. We are back from the store, and I'm actually really glad that I had to go to the store. Glad that I made that mistake because I got a product I'm really excited about. So with the sanding, and even before I sanded the table, there were a couple spots that had been nicked and the coloring was off. And at first I looked at stains, but I knew I didn't want to restain the whole tabletop. So I ended up finding this product. This is like a stain stick type of thing you can use for touch-ups. So even after I seal the table, if it has a scratch or something, I can use this to cover it up, which I'm really excited to try. And I also picked up some polyurethane spray, and I made sure that it was very obvious on the packaging that this is a clear sealer spray, which is what I thought I had in the beginning. So I'm going to head out to the yard, finish filling in any nicks, scratches, anything that needs to be fixed, and then we will spray our clear coat on. I was really happy with how well this stain stick worked. It goes on just like a marker, and so what I did first was just cover up any areas that were the wrong color. I let it dry a few seconds, and then I went back in with a paper towel and just wiped off any extra so that it was a nice seamless blend with the rest of the wood. Now that we have the tabletop sanded and any of the areas that were too light have been color matched, I'm going to start spraying on the clear polyurethane, and it recommended holding the can about 12 inches or more from the surface, using sweeping motions and doing light coats. While the first coat dried, I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and remove all the furniture on the rug, give it a good vacuum, and I even used the vacuum to clean out some spider webs that were hiding at the base of the table. After about 20 minutes, I sprayed on the second coat. By this point, I was full on into my cleaning spree, so I decided to use a soapy rag and clean off my dining chairs. This was a DIY I did a couple years ago, and it just needed a little cleaning. Time for our next coat. I have now done 4 coats of the polyurethane on the tabletop, and the directions say to let it dry an hour before you move it, so that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna let it dry, then I'll put it all back together and show you what it looks like. Okay, the table is completely done. I brought it inside, and before I brought it in, I realized it was a little bit rough on the top, so I used just a little sanding block and gently sanded the top to make sure it was nice and smooth, and I have it all put back together. I did wipe it down, make sure it was clean. So it's not perfect, but it does look a lot better than it did before, and I think this project was a success, but if I had to do it again, I would have chosen a polyurethane that had more shine. I think to be really happy with the table and for it to be just perfect for me, I'm going to want to use a wood cleaner like Pledge or something like that that has a shine so that it looks the way that it did before the project started. But I'll show you what it looks like, and thanks again for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed our time together.